On my third week working nights at St. Mercy, I found a list of rules tucked behind the break room mugs. It was thin and damp from years of hands. I read it at 2:07 a.m. while the vending machine hummed and the building breathed like a tired animal. Rule 1. Never count the empty beds before midnight. Rule 2. Walk the east corridor counterclockwise on odd nights. Rule 3. Do not answer the blue phone on the third floor. Rule 4. If someone calls your name from inside a room, do not open the door. Rule 5. Do not leave a light on in room 313. At first I thought it was a joke. Night staff tell jokes to make the hours pass. Holloway changed after dark. The halls grew long. Machines kept lonely time. Old nurses moved like shadows with clipboards. The rules seemed like a superstition, then like a ritual, then like something that mattered. There were patients who did not fit the charts. A man in isolation asked for the same glass of water every night and watched the surface like a window. A woman in 207 smiled without moving her mouth. The doctors wrote nothing new. Files stayed neat. It felt as if the hospital kept an extra shelf for things that could not be named. The blue phone sat in a small alcove on the third floor. One night it rang at 3:05 a.m. Its sound was thin and urgent. I had been told to ignore it. Old staff shook their heads if you mentioned it. Curiosity is heavy in the middle of the night. I answered. Hello. My voice sounded small. A voice whispered my name the way my mother said it when she wanted me to hurry. Come, it said. Please. My hand gripped the receiver. Rule 3 and the folded paper in my pocket pushed against my palm. I walked to the east wing. The lights were low. Room numbers marched like silent watchers. Room 313 stood with its door cracked. A lamp glowed inside. A woman sat by the window with a photograph. When she turned, I felt the world tilt because her face was my mother's. The photograph showed a house and a kite and a child I remembered. Her fingers traced the paper's edge. You're late, she said softly, as if I had been expected. They do not like being counted. She reached out and touched my hand. Her skin was cool. A lullaby moved through the room like a draft. For a moment, I saw my childhood kitchen in the dark window, the kettle, a chipped cup. Memory and place overlapped until I could not tell which was which. After that night, I kept the paper in my pocket. I walked the corridor, as the rules said. I tried not to answer the blue phone. I learned to pretend that obedience saved someone. But curiosity is patient. It is also a betrayal. Once I counted the empty beds at 11:58 p.m. It felt like a dare. 11, 12, 13. At midnight, a sound like a soft closing echoed behind me. A chair had moved. The logbook showed a gap between 12:02 and 12:05. The porter shrugged. Memory is a bad roommate, he said, and turned away. Another night, a voice called my name from room 207. It sounded like the boy I had been. I almost opened the door. I remembered Rule 4, and I stopped. The voice faded. Later, the nurse on duty asked if I was well. I lied and said yes. She looked at me with that pity people give to someone who has seen too much. The rules were odd but useful. They were small fences around things that might step in today if shown light. They were not polite hospital policy. They were private, passed down by people who had learned to keep edges sharp. Some staff followed them without thinking. Others grumbled. A few ignored them and were invited to retire early. On my last month, there was a new note under the cabinet flap. It read, "If you must stay, remember why. If you must leave, do not look back." I kept that line near my heart. The hospital would return today and say that nothing out of order had happened. Day staff would smile and ask how I slept. They would not know about the blue phone or the woman with my mother's face. They would not notice when a photograph appeared on the ward floor and then was gone. Sometimes, in the small hours, I still hear a name in the rain that sounds like comfort and command. Sometimes I find a photograph folded under a chair and my fingers remember a kite. The rules live like small prayers in my pocket. They do not explain anything. They ask for small obediences. If you ever find yourself working nights at a hospital, learn the list. It is awkward and strange, and you will want to laugh. Learn it slow. The night is a thin place. A misplaced light or a careless question loosens borders. The rules are not cruel. They are mercy, in plain language. At the end of my time there, I understood that the hospital keeps both bodies and echoes. The rules help the two to stay separate. Breaking them did not always cause a catastrophe. Often nothing happens, but sometimes a door will open onto a room of memories and you will meet a face that should not be there. You will hold a photograph that remembers you and not remember why. I folded the paper and left it in the cabinet for the next person. It will feel like a joke at first. Maybe that is how mercy hides, in a ridiculous list. But nights last long. The list will matter when the blue phone rings and someone says your name in a voice that knows you better than you know yourself.